Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE with Memoji. Today we'll be looking at Blender 2.79 and 2.8. There's one feature that I really like in Blender. Apart from being able to customize the layout, we are also able to have a file browser as one of the panel. And normally I just call it like image browser, but it's actually like more than just a normal file or image browsers because you can do a lot in it. So yeah, let's get started. So I have Blender 2.79 here and 2.8. I'll start with 2.79. So normally we are presented with this layout, and if you want to browse anything or like file, open, blend, this is where usually you do it. You cannot open file. I don't think you can just file open an image. Normally you want to import image as planes if you want to import an image. But let's see if we delete everything in the 3D scenes here, and maybe just create Suzanne. So we have Suzanne there, and then just enable generate UV. That should be on by default. And now we have Suzanne with UV. We can basically drag and drop image into Suzanne. So just now you see I'm splitting the layout. So by simply pulling this triangle, and here I can switch into file browsers. And surprise, you're gonna see something that looks exactly like when you do the file open. It's very similar, but there's a few missing button, etc. But this one is like you don't have like any button. Yeah, in here you can actually filter out things like image, depending on what you are looking. In this case, we want to look at just image, so we just enable filtering for images. So now we have just the image, and as a list, we can also look at it differently. So with the extra informations, and then also as a thumbnail. So this is exactly what we want. And with image, normally you want to work inside the UV image editor, so you can drag it over there. It will simply open up, and then if you want, you can always go to paint and start painting. But be careful with this, because this is actually you are working on actual image. So if you save this, it will actually override on top of the image. Okay, so be careful with that. This is actually the real image. There is actually like a star here that's saying that you are modifying the image. Until you save the image, it will not override it. So it's better to always save as image. Okay, so that's one thing to remember. You can apparently also drag and drop into Suzanne over here, into any of your 3D mesh. So that's actually a really cool feature. I really like it. Let's say you're using this one. It's already being painted here in 2D. So it is updated as we paint over. Let's try with this Susi code. And okay, go to Susi code. And yeah, it's actually recognized it as the same file. So that's pretty cool, right? That's paint if you want to paint it in 2D, so that's fine and dandy. You can also observe the file properties, like this is the image size, RGBA type, etc. etc. There's one gotcha that you might find with Blender 2.79. If you switch to paint mode, texture paint, and you want to start painting, you realize, okay, you can't actually paint. It keeps saying missing materials, textures detected. So you need to add a paint slot, like let's try, you can try emission or diffuse color, that's the basic one. And then it will offer you, okay, we're gonna create you a new image file. Okay, let's make it 1024. Maybe give it a starting value. Okay, now you can see, you can start painting after you create the material. And this guy, of course, you can see the material over here under material. What do you call it? Material properties, and then also you can see the texture over here, material diffuse color. So the way it's linked between the image and the 3D mesh, this is probably more correct, the way you expected it. And this guy, of course, also linked into this over here. So when now we are painting in 3D, this one also kind of updates in correspond to this guy. The cool thing about this also that you can enable tiling in X and Y. So if you ever want to paint like that, like super abstract, you can do it this way. So it's gonna go over, and then you can keep painting. This is like very cool. I like the image editor in Blender. It's really simple, but then it's sometimes you really just want to do a simple job and done with. The way I'm showing it to you is like almost like the first time I use Blender. It's really fun. So yeah. So there you go. That's how, if you want to work with image. You see, if you're in the texture paint mode, you cannot just drag and drop, right? Be careful with that. Back in object mode, you see the painting is different to the object mode. Object mode is for viewing. And there's one thing also, if you drag it not on Suzanne, you can see here, you can add a background image, or you can also hold control and turn it into an empty. It's gonna drop an empty with the image. But normally, I recommend you not to do this. You just file, import images as planes. That's probably better. A few cool things with this file browser, you can also go 1 level, 2 level, or 3 level depth. So if I go 1 level depth, it's gonna traverse through all the folder, and it's gonna find all the image that's inside the folder. So that's really cool. Here I have some image from, I think, my friend Liapkin. He's an artist, and he got this kind of painting style really interesting. I always like to study painting style of other artists, so that's kind of really cool. All right, so that's 2.79. Let's switch to 2.8. Let's see how it looks like with this guy. Similar. Normally I split it from the corner. We don't see the little corner there, but you can, with this guy, we can also do the switching over here, I think. But normally I just split. This is for advanced Blender user. You just split the layout the way you want it, like that. And here I'm gonna switch into file browser. Again, we are getting this very similar look. Filter it. We want to see just the image, so you can turn on and off the folder. It's really cool, really cool. And thumbnails. We don't have the option to see the recursion. Oh, there you go. The recursion is actually hidden. Cool. So it's actually there. So a lot of normally here you can see the button and all the layouts. This one is so much cleaner, and they also rearrange the icon, and then we have this into a menu now. So that's cool. All right, so we can drag and drop, right? Cool. It says drag and drop into mesh, but of course that box doesn't have mesh. Let's create Suzanne. Suzanne by default now have a generate UV turned on, so that's cool. Turn this menu off. Suzanne, all right, get some texture into this guy. Yep, it's there, I think. Normally here also I want to switch it to image editor, and the menu is over here now. Okay, that's the painting by Liapkin. We can't see anything yet over here. Let's see how we can turn this on. Random texture. Supposedly texture, but maybe I need to give it a material. So slightly different over here. Base color, image texture. Just grab it over here. Okay, so I have a feeling that now the texture is treated slightly differently. Now if we go to the paint mode, so we don't see anything. I wish we can just drag and drop it here really and just start painting. Maybe this is not ready yet. I'm not quite sure why we can't do the painting. Maybe it's not ready. I'm pretty sure. Oh, see, as I'm drawing here, it's actually painting, but yeah, it's painting in 3D. You know, it's also, if I switch to paint mode in this guy, I can start painting, but you don't see anything here. Maybe it's just a bug, because this is remember, this is Blender 2.8 alpha. Yeah, so the painting actually works. Go back to object mode. Now you can see the 3D cursor is actually traveling on top of the 3D mesh. This guy seems like it's been painted also. So texture painting works already over here. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, it's similar, very similar to 2.79. Not much trouble if you've been using this for years and switch to these guys. There's a lot of similarity. Maybe some things are different, like drag and dropping. It's normally this you can just drag and drop into this guy, but it doesn't update it. That's an interesting part. Yeah, but there you go. It's really, everyone's still waiting until 2.8 become official. But yeah, just for now, I recommend you to start with 2.79 a little bit. Get your if you are new to Blender, 2.79 is already like 100, maybe about 85% similar to 2.8. But 2.8 is really like, there's a lot of different new things and a lot of tweak and refine UI, etc. It's really nicer workflow for everyone. Okay, hopefully you enjoy this BS Live, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.